Welcome to the Scientific Montessori podcast, where we translate the latest academic research into Montessori-aligned practices and share insights to make parenting dramatically easier. This episode brings you the audio version of our article, The History of Hands and Work. To explore more articles, visit scientificmontessori.com.
In this article on the 6 to 12 age group, I'd like to look at the history of hands and work. Got any interesting insights?
There's a theory proposed by the founder of Omron called Cynic theory.
What kind of theory?
It was developed to predict how human society evolves. The idea is that management is prediction.
How do you make predictions?
Ultimately, you study history. When you do, you see that human society started with primitive life, then moved to agricultural life, followed by handicraft, the craft era, then industrial society. After that came automation, society transformed by spinning machines and steam engines.
The first industrial revolution, around the 1760s to the early 1800s.
Right. Then spinning machines evolved, machines in general evolved, and computers emerged.
Machines began to compute.
And after that came the information society, where everything became digitized. What comes next? Right now, we're in the optimization society.
What does optimization society mean specifically?
It means turning everything into computation problems and letting computers solve them. To optimize information, what's the first step?
You gather information.
Exactly. You collect it in one place, amass huge amounts of data, run calculations, and optimize.
That's exactly what's happening in AI development right now. To train an AI, you have to gather data in one location.
Right. In other words, it's centralization.
A centralized structure.
So what comes next?
The opposite of centralization? Each entity starts doing its own optimization, calculating on its own smartphone or computer?
Exactly. After the optimization society comes the autonomous society. This is said to begin in 2025.
That's last year.
From about 2025 to 2032.
What's good about an autonomous society?
When something shifts from centralized to distributed, it becomes more efficient.
Can you give an example?
Right now, computers rely on the cloud, where data is sent to a central location, processed there, and the results are returned. In an autonomous society, each device, every smartphone and personal computer, handles what the cloud used to do. Processing is distributed. AI works the same way today. Data is collected centrally, computed there, and accessed remotely. But going forward, there's no need to access a central server. Each device handles things locally. That's the autonomous society.
Does social structure change too?
Yes, the same principle applies. Schools, for example, currently bring everyone to one place for activities and then send them home. That's centralized. And the curriculum is determined by something like Japan's Ministry of Education, implemented uniformly across the country. So there's a hierarchy with the ministry at the top. Instead, in an autonomous society, each person has a personalized curriculum tailored to them and carries it out independently.
True self-reliance.
Exactly. There's no longer any central authority to depend on. Government works the same way. In Japan, governance centers on Kasumigaseki in Tokyo, but authority shifts to local areas, where each community governs itself. That's the autonomous society. This is the evolution of human society. We're moving forward.
Looking at the Cynic theory diagram, it's drawn as a spiral, climbing upward, but also, in a sense, returning to the past. Does that mean going back to primitive times? What does that mean?
Let's talk about what happens once the autonomous society is complete. Starting around 2033, we enter what's called the natural society. That's Omron's term. It's not a return to the primitive era I mentioned. It's ascending the spiral one level higher. In other words, it's a supernatural society.
Wait, that's exactly what Maria Montessori said. To contribute to the child is to contribute to all life. By aiding the work of nature, we raise nature to the supranatural stage. That is the law of life. It is children who bring about the new stage toward a higher dimension.
Exactly. In the end, everyone pursues what they want to do, and that naturally works to improve both the environment and society. Actually, Confucius said something similar in the Analects. At 70, I could follow my heart's desire without overstepping the bounds of right. As you mature, doing what you want while naturally staying within propriety is what's traditionally called human virtue. The same principle applies at both the individual and societal scale. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
Right now, if everyone just acted selfishly, society would collapse. But in an ultimately perfected society, each person is self-reliant, and when they all act freely, the result is an incredibly good society.
No need for rules to constrain anyone.
Exactly. No constitution or laws required. No one needs to control anyone. It's called a non-control society. Control is unnecessary.
Does that mean people genuinely care about each other, that ethics are highly developed?
You could say they care about each other, or that from the outside it looks like high ethics, but it's not forced. They're acting freely, and it just works out that way.
An ideal society.
Right. Two major trends to note: things and the individual. Modern society has emphasized things. Originally, the focus was on heart and community. Over time, the emphasis shifted from heart to things and from community to the individual.
I see.
In primitive life, people valued richness of heart and richness of communal life. We're spiraling back toward that.
But if we're talking about self-reliant individuals, how does that fit with community and heart?
Self-reliance has three dimensions: mental self-reliance, physical self-reliance, and economic self-reliance. There's a lot of overlap with Montessori here.
Montessori says self-reliance equals freedom.
Exactly. In the autonomous society, three key perspectives matter: self-reliance, collaboration, and creation. Various things emerge at the boundaries between them. Between self-reliance and collaboration lies altruism. Between collaboration and creation lies emergence. Between creation and self-reliance lies empathy. In other words, you can't be altruistic unless you're first self-reliant.
That's true. Montessori children can make delicious food themselves, so they can offer cookies to friends without a second thought.
What is selfishness, really? It's ultimately an expression of the desire to be self-reliant.
That may be true.
So, bottom line, the transition to the autonomous society starts in 2025.
Sounds like the transition to digital TV is starting.
The optimization society will fade away. And what is this new autonomous society? It's essentially a Montessori society.
Wait, so it's already here? Does that mean we don't even need Montessori anymore?
The point is that this time, humans themselves must change.
What do you mean this time?
Up until now, the focus was on improving machines. Now, improved machines will help improve humans.
Machines will change us?
Yes, AI is part of that. People who adapt easily will be fine, but those who struggle to change will find it extremely painful. Children can still change. And what technology is called for now? Something called mind-body technology. Technology for the mental dimension. Controlling the mind?
I can't quite picture it. You mean manipulating or controlling the mind?
Yes, controlling mental states. There are already signs of this. Brain-machine interfaces, or BMI for short, use brain waves to control computers. Smartwatches measure heart rate. If your heart stops, they automatically call an ambulance or send a rescue team. In mountain climbing, for example, if someone gets lost, GPS connects to rescuers.
So similarly, we'll monitor mental states and provide feedback to the mind?
We're not quite there yet. Right now, we track blood pressure and health data, but that will advance to tracking mental states. This person is heading toward depression, or this person is getting a bit too overconfident. Or they're eating properly.
Like a good mother.
Exactly. Doing what a mother would normally do. But not everyone has a good mother. So if we had a mother AI, people could rely on it for comfort.
A mentor.
Yes, mentoring. The point is to value the mind. Things like motivation have been invisible, so they were neglected, but they're incredibly important. Ignoring them is why we have problems like depression. Harassment too. Harassment is essentially mental distress. Once mental distress is properly recognized, harassment becomes unacceptable. In other words, the mental dimension is finally being evaluated appropriately.
When you think about it that way, a lot is changing.
Before, we only thought about physical needs, like as long as you're sheltered from wind and rain. Now we ask, is this space genuinely comfortable to be in? Schools too. It used to be, as long as you acquire knowledge. Now we ask, are students learning what they actually want to learn? And are they unhappy about it? Evaluating that and bringing unhappiness down to zero is probably what mind-body technology is about. In short, always achieving good mental health.
I can actually feel us heading in that direction. Technology is making it happen.
Even injections. Nobody likes the pain, so needles as thin as a mosquito's proboscis make them painless. That's scientific progress.
As science advances, things we used to just put up with become unnecessary to endure.
School health checkups could be done remotely or distributed to address shortages of female doctors, for example.
Medical interviews could be handled by AI. And if every household had technology to monitor health on a daily basis, there'd be no need to gather everyone at school for checkups.
If toilets evolve, we could assess gut microbiota every day. And not just physical health, mental health too, improving in real time.
What's so great about being healthy in body and mind? Work performance goes up. I'm experiencing that firsthand now that I've started making sure I get enough sleep.
Right now, most Japanese people, both children and adults, are sleep deprived. Sleep deprivation hurts work performance. So first, let's fix the sleep deficit before any other debates. Even the National Diet Building is turning into a nap room. So everyone, please get as much sleep as you can.
Thank you for listening to the Scientific Montessori podcast. We hope today's episode helped you see how research and Montessori principles can make parenting simpler and more meaningful. For more articles and resources, visit scientificmontessori.com and join us again next time.